Hey, we're back. This is Undivided. I'm Jason DeBilius, super subbing for Wendy Jones and Ashley Clark. It's a new year, it's a new time, but here I am to bring the countdown, past the countdown, into the new year with you. But before we start our year, let's take a look back at the last 2 years of what the world has had to offer us. Early in the spring of 2021, there was an NCAA men's volleyball match at the Pyramid. It was Long Beach State versus Stanford. And during the timeouts, there was a woman walking back and forth in the front bleacher section equipped with a paddle-like stick with a sign to it that said, "Mask up." She, in her supposed cuteness, was motioning with the beat of the music with an upward gesture for the people in the section to pull their mask up. And it looks something like this. Side to side, elbows up, now side to side, elbows up, side to side. You get the gist. The crowd was a mixture of people. There were people who did in fact have their mask up, but others who had their noses sticking out, perhaps to breathe. And there were people who were temporarily putting their mask down to give condensation a break, and there are people who just stopped caring. In the meantime, just feet away from the regular seating section was the VIP section. There was booze galore, there was smiles, there was sweat, and a red-faced good time. I'll tell you what there wasn't. No mask. Not one single mask. There are a list of reasons why Paddle Mask Lady did not go to that section to carry out her unofficial assignment, and the reason was obvious. She knew that the people in that particular crowd were most likely have told her where she can stick her paddle. But the real reason, underneath the obvious, was, believe it or not, more uncomfortable than that. That reason was that we as a people have been trained to treat a section of people differently. On our best day, we choose to ignore them and concede to elite exceptionalism, and on our worst day, we choose to defend them. And we do so with a rigor and heightened emotion unparalleled to even how we would stand up for the ones we care about, the ones we love, and the ones in whom we've befriended for decades. Fast forward to 2022, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. A room full of politicians who took recommendations and made them policy, combined with the media, the fourth estate, in whom they weaponized as frontrunners for moral preening. All in the same room. No mask. Do we call out the multiple entities that are leading candidates of our divisiveness on the policies in which they are not only the exception, but also stand to profit? No. We collectively ignore them, and in many cases, as I said before, even defend them. They are the advocates of the ad hominem attack. They are the ambassadors of the bandwagon fallacy. They are the rulers of rationalization. And we love them for it. A collective of people who took it so far in shaming you into seeing it their way, sometimes with consequence hanging in the balance, it has become difficult, if not impossible, to come back from it. Batya Ungar-Sargon of the Hill/Rising said it best. Let's play the clip.
And I think that, if they had simply gotten a study, said, here's what this study said, here's the information, you make up your own mind, or even if they had said, here's the study, here's our interpretation of it, here's what we recommend based on this study in like a respectful way, I don't think they would have had such a hard time now saying, hey, actually that study was wrong, here's where we're going now. It's the fact that what they said was, they didn't say, here's this information, you make up your own mind. They said, this is the truth. And anybody who doesn't agree with us is a grandma killer, is an idiot, is a moron, hates Americans, is individualist and not caring about the collective, is disgusting. Cable news anchors lecturing you, mocking you if you don't agree with them, right? The amount of kind of condescension that they built into this. We are the science. In this house, we follow the science, right? The amount of moral preening that they built into their approach to this, right, makes it now much more difficult for them to admit that they had been wrong, right? Which is a lesson to us all, always approach the things you think you know with a little bit of humility to the people who don't agree with you, because otherwise you're going to be in the situation where it is extremely embarrassing, to have been wrong.
From gala events to the Super Bowl to the State of the Union address, it goes on. The resentment was apparent. Think about it. How many people did you see at these gala events or even the Super Bowl on Sunday, no one wearing a mask, but at the same time had to remind your 5-year-old kid that she had to wear a mask to school? The examples of exceptionalism go beyond the trivial. Masks not a big enough example? Not a big deal? Here's a big deal. Democrats, I bring you Roe versus Wade. When Roe versus Wade got overturned, we were all devastated. But we all know that if the same politicians that bandit need an abortion, they'll get one. It's not a problem. Republicans, libs coming for your guns. You know what? I'll tell you this. The people coming for your guns, if they want to own a gun or make sure their bodyguards are armed, not a problem. Can you appreciate how this problem is bipartisan? We had a New York Democratic House member advocating for stricter pandemic restrictions while retreating to Florida with her boyfriend. We had a Republican senator telling his constituents in Texas to stay strong during the blackout while retreating with his family to Mexico. And we have billionaires at the center of influence of these politicians telling us to take the bus or the train, and even not to use your stove for the sake of climate change, all while flying over your problems in a private jet. Perhaps the real reason why the problem is ignored is because there doesn't seem to be any solution on the horizon. I mean, no point in worrying about something if there's nothing that can be done about it, right? To me, as former Governor Jesse Ventura would put it, the answer is as simple as a nose on your face, but as difficult as climbing Mount Everest. And he said, stop voting them in. Stop voting people into office who implement these asinine rules that they themselves have no intention of following. Do not look for examples to these rules, only to find exceptions. Do not look for leadership from these people that care about your quality of life, only to find out that they are the followers of the preservation of the quality of life of a small few. Do not look for your savior in places you only find your oppressors. Oh yeah, and Mass Paddle Lady, you can kiss my ass. Well, that's all we got for this week. Once again, I'm Jason DeBeas, super subbing for Wendy Jones and Ashley Clark. Looking forward to having them back, but for now, this is Undivided.